There are moments when life gets so heavy that even getting out of bed feels like a silent battle nobody sees. You smile in front of people, you answer messages, you keep pretending you're okay, but deep down something inside you is tired. Not just physically tired, soul tired. The kind of exhaustion that makes you question everything. Your purpose, your direction, your worth. And maybe lately you've been asking yourself a question you never thought you'd ask. What's the point of trying anymore? Because no matter how hard you push, things still fall apart. Doors close, people leave, plans fail, and the worst part is you prayed for things to change. You begged God for a sign. You waited and waited, but the silence felt louder than the answers. So now you're standing at the edge, mentally, emotionally, spiritually thinking about quitting. Quitting the dream, quitting the healing process, maybe even quitting on yourself. But before you do, listen carefully. Some of the most important things God does in your life happen in seasons where it feels like nothing is happening at all. A seed underground looks dead before it becomes a tree. Winter always looks like the end until spring quietly proves it was preparation. And maybe that's where you are right now, in preparation disguised as pain. The truth is, people love talking about success after it happens. They celebrate the victory, but rarely understand the breaking point that came before it. Nobody sees the nights where you sat alone, questioning your value. Nobody sees the moments you almost gave up, but somehow kept breathing through it. And maybe that's why this season feels so lonely, because growth often happens in isolation. Even in nature, diamonds are formed under pressure, muscles grow through resistance, and storms reshape entire landscapes. Pain is not always punishment. Sometimes pain is construction. Sometimes God removes comfort because comfort was slowly destroying your potential. And that's hard to accept because we naturally want easy answers and immediate relief. We want life to make sense instantly. But wisdom teaches patience. Stoic philosophers understood this deeply. They believed that obstacles were not interruptions to life. Obstacles were life itself. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Think about that. The thing you're trying to escape might actually be the thing shaping you into who you're meant to become. But when you're hurting, philosophy alone doesn't always comfort you. Sometimes you just want someone to say, I know this hurts. And it does hurt. Losing people hurts. Feeling forgotten hurts. Watching others move ahead while you feel stuck hurts. There's no need to fake strength every second. Even the strongest people break down privately. Even warriors get tired. But being tired does not mean your story is over. It means you're human. And maybe one of the biggest lies pain tells us is that because the chapter is difficult, the entire book will be tragic. But life doesn't work like that. Some chapters are meant to teach endurance. Some are meant to humble you. Some are meant to wake you up. And some are meant to show you who truly stands beside you when everything falls apart. Think about how many times you survived things you thought would destroy you completely. At the time, you couldn't imagine making it through. Yet here you are, breathing, still standing. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not confidently, but still here. That matters more than you realize. Because survival itself is proof that something greater is carrying you even when you don't notice it. God's work is not always loud miracles and dramatic signs. Sometimes His work looks like giving you strength to survive another day when your mind is collapsing. Sometimes His work is removing people who are poisoning your peace. Sometimes His work is delaying things because you are not ready for what you're asking for yet. Imagine receiving your biggest blessing before developing the wisdom to handle it. It could destroy you instead of helping you. And maybe right now you feel forgotten because your timeline doesn't match your expectations. But life is not a race against other people. One flower blooms in spring, another blooms in winter. Both are beautiful in their own timing. Social media has trained people to panic when success isn't immediate. Everyone wants overnight transformation, overnight healing, overnight purpose. But real growth is usually slow, invisible, and deeply uncomfortable. A tree does not fight because it's growing too slowly. It simply continues reaching toward the light every single day, quietly, patiently, consistently. There's wisdom in that. Sometimes God slows you down because your soul needs rebuilding before your life can expand. And rebuilding is painful because it forces you to confront things you buried for years. Your fears, your anger, your insecurities, your dependence on validation, your habit of tying your worth to achievement. Pain has a strange way of exposing everything fake in your life. But maybe that exposure is mercy, because you cannot heal what you refuse to face. And listen, quitting often looks attractive when you're emotionally overwhelmed. Your brain starts convincing you that ending the effort will end the pain. But most of the time, quitting doesn't bring peace. It brings regret. The kind of regret that whispers years later, what if I kept going a little longer? You don't want your future haunted by possibilities you abandoned too soon, because breakthroughs often arrive right after the hardest moments, right when people are exhausted, right when they think nothing will change. That's why endurance matters. Not blind endurance, purposeful endurance. The decision to keep moving even when your emotions are unstable. Because feelings change, bad seasons change, darkness changes. But the person who keeps walking through it becomes stronger in ways comfort could never create. There's a powerful truth most people discover too late. God often works in hidden ways. While you're crying over closed doors, He may be protecting you from rooms that would have broken you. While you feel delayed, He may be aligning people, opportunities, and lessons you cannot yet see. Life only makes complete sense when you look backward, rarely while you're living through it. That's why faith matters. Faith is continuing to walk even when the road ahead looks uncertain. It's trusting that your current confusion is not the final destination. And maybe this difficult season is teaching you something success never could. Maybe it's teaching you how to sit with yourself, how to become emotionally stronger, how to stop depending on constant approval, how to discover peace without external validation. Because if your happiness only exists when life is perfect, then your happiness will always be fragile. Real strength is learning to carry hope even in chaos, to laugh again after heartbreak, to trust again after disappointment, to dream again after failure. You know what's beautiful about broken people? They often become the most compassionate souls in the world. Pain deepens empathy. Struggle creates wisdom. The people who have suffered deeply often become lights for others walking through darkness. And maybe one day your survival story will help someone else hold on. Maybe your pain will eventually become proof that healing is possible. Nothing is wasted when God is involved. Not the tears, not the waiting, not the heartbreak, not even the failures. Every experience leaves behind wisdom if you are willing to learn from it. And sometimes healing begins with something simple. Resting, breathing, stepping outside for sunlight, talking honestly with someone you trust, letting yourself laugh without guilt, listening to music that reminds you life still has beauty in it. Healing is not always dramatic. Sometimes it's tiny moments repeated consistently, a small choice to continue, a quiet decision not to give up today. That's how transformation often begins. Not through giant heroic moments, but through ordinary courage practiced daily. The Stoics believed you cannot always control what happens around you, but you can control who you become through it. That idea changes everything, because it means your suffering does not own you. Your circumstances do not define your identity. You still have power, the power to respond differently, the power to grow wiser instead of bitter, the power to continue despite fear. And that quiet resilience becomes unstoppable over time. Right now, somewhere in the world, another person is feeling exactly like you. Lost, exhausted, ready to quit. But maybe they'll keep going because someone reminded them that storms do not last forever. Maybe that someone is you. Maybe your survival alone becomes a message. Think about that. Your decision to stay alive, to keep trying to continue believing, Even a little could inspire people you haven't even met yet. So if you're watching this while feeling broken, hear this clearly. Your life still matters. Your story is not finished. You are not behind in life. You are not abandoned. You are in a season that is shaping you quietly, painfully, but purposefully. And one day you may look back at this exact moment and realize the season that almost broke you is also the season that transformed you into someone stronger, wiser, calmer, and more alive than ever before. Do not quit 5 minutes before the miracle. Do not let temporary pain convince you to make permanent decisions. Rest if you need to. Cry if you need to. Step away for a moment if you need to. But don't give up on yourself. There is still life ahead of you that you haven't experienced yet. There are still people you haven't met, opportunities you haven't seen, joy you haven't felt, peace you haven't discovered, and maybe, just maybe, God is working behind the scenes in ways your current pain cannot yet understand. If this message reached you at the right moment, let it remind you that you are not alone in this fight. And in the comments, share the struggle you're overcoming right now, or the reason you've decided not to quit. Your words might become hope for someone else who desperately needs it today.